coming out is because it's a trend I started to notice recently where usually if you start to just see somebody for no reason all the time, like it's like, oh, there's a PR campaign going on right now. Back to, I guess this kind of ties things all into that idea too. Just talking about how everything's a sales pitch, everything's somebody's trying to make money, you know? So my initial like gut reaction after you're thinking of that is like, oh, so you're hearing his music a lot, it's popping up a lot, people are talking about him, so they're probably seeing his name a lot. All of a sudden you're going to see him on like a late night show, and then he's going to be like, oh, I'm coming out with an album, you know? And it's just like that happens like all the time, but it would be a little bit more odd with Mark Knopfler, but he's the shit, so he deserves all. I do see that possible legal issue with new Bon Jovi album. Dire Straits has a problem with some music, I guess, on the new Bon Jovi album.
Like it sounds too similar, or
something like that. Yeah, I guess here. Let me see. UltimateGuitar.com. John Bon Jovi speaks on possible Dire Straits legal issue with new song. Shares opinion on Mark Knopfler. 5-day-old news art. So he's in the news, man. Like, people are talking about Marky Knopfler. That's what I call him. We're friends from back in the day. I call him Marky. Marky Knopfler. Marky
I thought maybe his middle name was Edmund.
MK Ultra. Call him MK Ultra because he likes that good weed.
I had a friend of mine in Milwaukee call me that not that long ago. And
you're MK Ultra too. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and well, what I thought was funny about it by him doing that was he has no clue of just how much acid I've done in my life. So the fact that he was calling me MK Ultra, I'm like, well, that's fairly accurate, actually.
Hell yeah! I don't know how I didn't even think of that as I was saying it. Never. I see Mark Knopfler right away. I think MK Ultra. You know, I know your name's Matt Kaiser.
I didn't know Ultimate Guitar had anything on it other than just really horrible guitar tabs. So,
well, they're good if you can find good ones on there. But yeah, I didn't know they had news either. It's just that was the first. So I typed in Mark Knopfler and then I hit news just to see like what was in the news stream. And oddly enough, there's like 10 articles that came up with his name in it in the last like 10 days. So he is in the he's in the collective conscience right now to some degree, you know. Us humans are all just, our minds are all vibrating at the frequency of Money or Nothing right now, you know. It's just we're all you gotta love the way that guitar cuts, though, right? Like, the way that it, like, cuts out the notes. Like, what? I don't even know how you play like that. That shit is cool as fuck.
That's a really complicated guitar riff, too. It's pretty impressive, even though I'm not a big Dire Straits fan. Like, that guitar riff is way solid.
Oh, dude, he's so good. He's so fucking good. Like, he's out of control. I don't spend a lot of time listening to Dire Straits either, but my God, that fucker is good at guitar. Whew. Gets me all hot and bothered thinking about Marky Knopp playing that guitar.
I'm just bothered. Man, I wang-dangled my shoulder pretty good the other day. It's feeling better now, but occasionally, like, it's still just like, ugh. Like, so what happened is I was delivering on Brady Street, and I needed to run back. I always keep a pen clipped under the
on Brady
driver's
Street? Brady Street in where is that?
In Milwaukee.
Okay, good.
Yeah, like East Side, which is a fairly narrow, pretty busy road, which comes into play later. But basically, I had to run back to the truck and grab a pen out to fill out a form at this store, and then getting back into the truck. It's a narrow road and there was a lot of traffic. So I'm trying not to open my door into oncoming traffic. So I open it and just like launch myself into the cab of the truck. And I forgot that I left the visor down from grabbing the pen, and just like full body weight, like the visor just clipped me right in, like not on the bone, but right in the muscle of my shoulder. And like for like 2 days after that, you ever get punched in the arm and it's just like that energy drainer kind of feeling where it's like, it feels like you can't even like have full strength in your hand kind of deal. Like that's how my whole fucking left side felt for like 2 days. And it's still
oh god, you must have just hit it just right, because the visor shouldn't fuck you up that bad, but if you hit it, I guess if you got it right in that right spot, I can kind of picture it.
You've been reading up on this Dr. Seuss shit?
I haven't been reading up on it. You told me about it a little bit the other day, and I just kind of wanted to keep myself not a neutral party, but a uninformed party for the conversation, just to hear a little bit more about it. So, and I have a little bit of background to like some of these cartoons, so that's the other side of it. So, let's get a little bit more informed and hear about this goofiness.
Well, it's the more I've actually read into it since I first brought it up, I'm kind of starting to understand it a little bit more. So I guess it's actually his estate that is stopping publishing of like 6 different books. And it mostly has to do with like caricaturized representations of different races. Like there's like some Asian things that were very stereotypical. I think there was a one of them featured like kind of stereotypical images of like, African people in like grass skirts and whatever. And I understand that it's not, it didn't age well, let's just say. But all the same, I guess I was just coming from a point of thinking, like, who is this helping? Like, is this what we need to be focusing on to progress society, is going back in the past? It's like when they canceled I forget the name of the author, but the woman who wrote the Little House on the Prairie books. It's like, does this actually...
Wilder. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Does this actually help anything that we're going back and like to a book that was written, either, I mean, in her case, like over a fucking 100 years ago, or even Dr. Seuss books that just have like drawings that were intended for children. Like, is this really what's so problematic with our society right now that we need to focus on that and maybe not what's going on currently? Like, I don't see who this is helping necessarily.
I mean, Matt, really can you believe that people that were living during a time when the fastest way to get somewhere was on a train, and photographs just couldn't be taken easily and like disseminated, and like while we had books, like I don't even think you could like print photographs in books too much. Can you believe that people that were around in that time were ignorant about the races that they never came in contact with and never seen, and never
fucking
had any ideas about? Like, can you believe these people before internet and airplanes, where they only grew up in their small little towns, didn't have a better understanding of the diversity of the world? It blows my mind that they didn't know better. Come on, Dr. Seuss. Come on, Laura Ingalls Wilder. Know a little bit more. Yeah. Why don't you go back in 1927, how about you go fly to China, learn about the whole culture, fly back. Oh, you couldn't have done that. That's right. And also, I'll say this. If you look up Dr. Seuss's drawings while World War II was going on, and he's drawing like Germans and stuff like that, there's a very... if you want to be racist about Germans, there's a very certain way that he's drawing how they look, or how anybody looks, and like, this is how people fucking operated back in those days. It was all about race. It was all about class. It was all about segmenting population. This is just the fucking world that they grew up in, like, it's your right to not read it. It's okay. Here's what also is stupid. We hang on to things for way too fucking long in our society now. We don't create anything new. Like, this isn't a new thought, but like, look at our movies. It's fucking just like superhero movies 1 through 8 of every character. 1 through 8. Just keep redoing it. Oh, bring Star Wars back. Keep redoing it. Let's bring back Murphy Brown. Let's bring back fucking Full House. Let's bring back Saved by the Bell. Let's like stop having new ideas. And we keep rehashing it. Let's love Dr. Seuss so much. yeah, maybe there's a point where shit becomes outdated. It doesn't mean that that person was like, do you think in the 1800s they spent all their time reading books from, well, maybe they did, but like from like the 1600s or the 1500s where there weren't even many, like, before that, there weren't even many books at all. But like people used to move forward with their knowledge and create new ideas. And then with those new ideas, that becomes the new fad that everybody, gravitates around. Maybe the problem isn't so much with Dr. Seuss. Maybe the problem is that we're not creating things as good as what his children books were for the new generation because people aren't as good as they used to. Like, why do you still want to read Dr. Seuss? Come out with something better, something more, applicable to today, and leave him alone. Leave him for the past because he is the past, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's just... This is a tricky subject, but like all the same, I just think that like we're focusing too much on not you and I, but we as a general population are focusing on.
Yeah.
We're focusing too much on like trying to correct the past instead of improving the future. Like
that's my point exactly.
Yeah, and like it's just not. It's not going to help anybody. A 6-year-old Asian girl is not going to even see this fucking book. So, like, what is the fucking, who is this helping? I think it just comes down to you're trying to make yourself feel better by getting rid of this shit. Because, like, I guarantee in the Dr. Seuss books, whatever they are, like, I don't even have the names on hand, but, like, they're not even well-known books. Although I guess like apparently Cat in the Hat has come into question of being problematic, which like go fuck yourself. But it's not solving anything.
Well, it's not right to trap cats under hats. There's not enough room for a cat to live. It's inhumane. Okay? I just wanted to mention one small thing, and it's not because this is where we are. It's about overcorrection. And you said a phrase that some people may want to correct. And you said like a 6-year-old Asian girl isn't going to see this. Well, first of all, we have trouble with Asia because there's so many different segments. You obviously have Southeastern Asians, like a lot of people think of Asia just being Chinese, but then like Chinese is very different from Korean, very different from Japanese at the same time, even though we lump them all together. And the other side of it is that like you're meaning people that live in the continent of Asia, but what people are more concerned about are about Asian, like people of Asian descent, let's say, that live in America, then being exposed to this. But nobody, when we grew up on Dr. Seuss, did anybody know that these books existed?
No.
No, it's, again, because of the internet and because we have so much access to so much information that now everybody knows, like, that Dr. Seuss had these things that, yeah, may and were, like, they're not even questionable. They are problematic, and there's things that aren't right for today's world, right? So, like, that's fine with saying that, but the only reason we know it, and this is why I wanted to stay here, just to get back to your point what I think is the largest point of this conversation, is that we're just keep going back to the past to look for new ways to get attention now. So this, again, goes back to, like, why do they choose Mr. Potato Head? Well, because it would cause a stink. Why do we look at Dr. Seuss? Because it'll cause a stink. And whoever comes up with this theory, with this article, is going to get themselves Twitter attention. They're going to gain themselves followers. They're going to, like, create this because, you know what's a lot easier? And I'm going to throw ourselves under the bus being podcasters, right? You know, it's really easy. It's really easy to look for shit that are problems and talk shit about it. What's really actually hard to do is have a new thought and then create something out of it and make something new. So what people have this, it used to be that you came to success in creativity by having new ideas. Now people just find success by finding the next controversy. How do we take somebody